Mike walked through MetLife Stadium carrying his tablet and radio, checking camera angles and sound levels for tonight's championship game. 80,000 fans would fill every seat. To them, he was just another technician making sure the lights worked. But Mike's calm expertise came from 15 years commanding Delta Force operations in the world's most dangerous places. And tonight, those forgotten skills would save 80,000 lives from a terror attack no one saw coming. Welcome to Hidden Warriors. Tell me in the comments what city you're watching from today. And if stories like this prove heroes' work behind the scenes, hit that subscribe button. MetLife Stadium buzzed with pre-game energy as Mike Johnson made his final system checks. As technical director, he controlled every electronic component in the massive facility: lighting arrays, sound systems, security cameras, communication networks, even the stadium's emergency protocols. Mike had held this position for 8 years, earning respect from staff and management for his calm efficiency under pressure. During major events, he operated from the central control room, monitoring dozens of screens showing every angle of stadium operations. What colleagues didn't know was that Mike's technical expertise extended far beyond entertainment systems. Hidden among standard stadium equipment were modifications he had quietly installed: enhanced communication arrays, tactical monitoring systems, emergency response protocols that went far beyond standard safety measures. His background check showed Michael Johnson, former Army communications specialist with 8 years of service. Clean record, solid references, perfect qualifications for managing complex technical operations. But Michael Johnson was a carefully constructed identity. His real name was Michael "Ghost" Harrison, former Delta Force commander, who had planned and executed counter-terrorism operations across 3 continents. His specialty was large-scale tactical coordination, managing complex operations involving multiple teams, advanced technology, and civilian protection protocols. Mike's transition to civilian life hadn't been retirement. It was reassignment. Government agencies needed experienced operatives in positions where they could monitor and respond to potential domestic threats. MetLife Stadium, hosting major events with massive crowds, was a prime target that required specialized protection. For 8 years, Mike had monitored terrorist communications, tracked suspicious activities around major events, and maintained emergency response capabilities that stadium management knew nothing about. His job was to ensure that if something happened, he would be ready. Commander Michael Harrison had spent 15 years in Delta Force, specializing in operations that required precise coordination of multiple elements under extreme pressure. His missions included counter-terrorism in urban environments, hostage rescue in populated areas, and protection of high-value targets during public events. His expertise was tactical command and control, managing complex operations where split-second decisions affected hundreds or thousands of lives. He had commanded operations in stadiums, airports, shopping centers, and other locations where civilian safety was paramount. But Mike's most relevant experience came from Operation Stadium Shield, a classified program where Delta Force operators studied vulnerabilities in major sporting venues. They had identified exactly how terrorists might attack large gatherings, what weapons they would use, and how security could be defeated. The program revealed disturbing realities about stadium security. Standard measures were designed for crowd control and petty crime, not coordinated attacks by trained operatives. Emergency evacuation procedures would create chaos that attackers could exploit. Communication systems could be jammed or hijacked. Mike had participated in exercises where military teams tested stadium defenses. Every scenario ended with massive civilian casualties because security personnel lacked the training and equipment to handle sophisticated attacks. When Mike's military career ended, he was recruited for a civilian assignment that utilized his specialized knowledge. position him in a major venue where he could implement real security measures while maintaining cover as a technical director. MetLife Stadium was perfect. High-profile events, massive crowds, and technical systems that could be enhanced for security purposes. Mike's job was to prepare for the attacks that standard security couldn't handle. Over 8 years, he had quietly upgraded stadium systems with military-grade capabilities. Enhanced surveillance, secure communications, emergency protocols that could be activated instantly. Most importantly, he had studied every possible attack scenario and developed countermeasures. Tonight's championship game represented the highest-risk event Mike had overseen. Maximum crowd capacity, national television coverage, and intelligence reports suggesting possible terrorist interest in the event. At 7:15 p.m., 15 minutes before kickoff, Mike noticed unusual activity on his security monitors. Multiple individuals in stadium uniforms were moving through restricted areas, but their behavior didn't match normal staff patterns. They moved with tactical precision, positioning themselves at strategic locations throughout the facility. Mike's analysis revealed a coordinated operation. Teams were positioning at emergency exits, communication nodes, and critical infrastructure points. Their placement suggested they planned to control crowd movement and isolate the stadium from outside response. When Mike tried to alert stadium security, he discovered their communication system had been compromised. Radio frequencies were jammed, cell towers were being blocked, and internet connectivity was being systematically disrupted. The attackers had cut the stadium off from outside contact. Mike realized he was witnessing the implementation of every worst-case scenario he had studied during Operation Stadium Shield. Professional operatives executing a plan designed to trap 80,000 people and create maximum casualties. But the attackers had made one critical mistake. They didn't know that Mike Johnson was actually Commander Harrison, and that MetLife Stadium contained security systems they couldn't detect or disable. Mike activated emergency protocols he had installed 8 years earlier, hidden communication arrays that operated on military frequencies, enhanced surveillance systems that gave him complete visibility of attacker positions, emergency response capabilities that could be triggered remotely. His first priority was gathering intelligence about the attack scope and objectives. Using hidden cameras and enhanced audio systems, Mike identified 12 operatives positioned throughout the stadium. Their equipment included automatic weapons, explosive devices, and communication gear consistent with international terrorist organizations. The attack plan became clear: simultaneously detonate explosives at multiple exits while armed operatives controlled remaining evacuation routes. Classic scenario designed to trap crowds and maximize casualties while preventing emergency response. Mike had approximately 10 minutes before the attack would begin. 80,000 people were settling into their seats, completely unaware that their lives depended on one man's ability to stop a coordinated terrorist operation. Mike's response drew on 15 years of Delta Force experience, commanding complex operations under impossible pressure. His advantage was complete control of stadium systems and detailed knowledge of terrorist tactics. First, he used the stadium's public address system to deliver a coded message that alerted undercover federal agents he knew were present for the high-profile event. The message appeared to be routine technical announcements, but trained personnel recognized it as a terrorism alert. Next, Mike activated enhanced surveillance to track all 12 operatives simultaneously. Using stadium cameras, he monitored their positions and predicted their movement patterns. His military training allowed him to anticipate their next actions based on their tactical formation. Mike then began systematically disrupting the terrorist operation. He used lighting controls to create confusion in areas where operatives were positioned. Emergency lighting suddenly illuminated hidden attackers, making them visible to security personnel while blinding their night vision equipment. The stadium's sound system became a tactical weapon. Mike used directional speakers to create audio distractions that forced operatives to change positions, breaking their coordinated timing. Loud sounds masked the movement of responding security forces. Most critically, Mike took control of the stadium's emergency systems. Instead of allowing terrorists to trigger chaos, he implemented controlled evacuation procedures that moved crowds away from areas where operatives were positioned. Mike's communications training allowed him to penetrate the terrorist jamming and establish contact with outside response teams. He provided real-time intelligence about operative positions, weapon capabilities, and attack timeline. But the most effective countermeasure was Mike's knowledge of the terrorists' own plan. Having studied identical scenarios during military service, he knew exactly what they would do next and could stay ahead of their actions. When operatives attempted to detonate explosive devices, they found that Mike had remotely disabled electrical systems in those areas. When they tried to control emergency exits, stadium personnel had already been repositioned based on Mike's guidance. The coordinated attack became a series of isolated incidents as Mike systematically dismantled their operational capability using tools they never knew existed. By 8:45 p.m., all 12 terrorist operatives were in custody. Explosive devices had been safely neutralized, and the championship game continued without 80,000 fans ever knowing they had been in mortal danger. Mike's counter-operation had been so effective that the attack never progressed beyond preparation phase. Official reports credited enhanced security measures and excellent coordination between multiple agencies. Mike's role was classified, his identity protected, and his technical director position maintained. The game proceeded normally, with Mike monitoring from his control room as fans cheered for their teams. Only a few people in the world knew that the greatest victory that night hadn't happened on the field. 3 months later, Mike received a classified briefing about the terrorist organization behind the attack. His successful defense had prevented what intelligence agencies considered the most sophisticated domestic terrorism attempt in U.S. history. The terrorists had spent 2 years planning the operation, studying stadium vulnerabilities, and positioning operatives. Their failure at MetLife Stadium effectively dismantled their entire network and prevented similar attacks at other venues. Mike continued his work as technical director, but with enhanced responsibilities. His success had proven the value of positioning experienced military personnel in civilian infrastructure roles. Other stadiums, airports, and major venues began receiving similar protections. 6 months after the incident, Mike was approached by federal agencies about expanding his role. They offered him oversight of security operations at major sporting events nationwide, using his MetLife experience as a model for protecting civilian gatherings. Mike accepted the position while maintaining his cover as a technical director. His new assignment would take him to stadiums across the country, where he would implement the security measures that had proven so effective. Have you ever attended a major event without thinking about the invisible protections keeping you safe? The people whose expertise remains hidden until the moment lives depend on their skills. Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to Hidden Warriors for more stories of ordinary professionals whose extraordinary backgrounds continue protecting us in ways we'll never know. Some guardians wear uniforms, others wear technical director badges, and control the systems that keep us safe. The next time you attend a major sporting event, remember that your safety might depend on someone whose greatest victory will never appear on any scoreboard.